Hey guys, this is Boneto Guitar. I'm here with the amazing Martin Miller, one of the great fusion guitar players. How do you enjoy the Ibanez Guitar Festival?
I'm having a really, really great time. This is the first Ibanez Guitar Festival in 9 years, right? It's been 9 years, so I'm having plenty of flashbacks of beautiful nostalgia. Yeah,
Nice.
it's a good time.
So you already played with your friend Tom Quay.
That's right.
Did you enjoy the show? How was it? How was the audience?
The audience was fantastic. I feel like we had a really deep connection to them. Like they were laughing when they were supposed to laugh. They were clapping when they were supposed to clap. Like I think we were able to transmit our message and they were able to receive it. So that was really nice. It took me personally a second to get into the show because we haven't played together in 7 or 8 months. And we didn't have an opportunity to rehearse because we live in separate countries, of course. So we don't play with backing tracks. We don't play with a band. So it's a very fragile, tactile situation for two people to come together and to play like that. I think we managed to get through the whole thing.
Nice. Tell me about the project. What is this? Only guitar music? No, because you said no backing tracks,
Yes,
no drums,
it's literally just two guitars, and
okay.
it's kind of this is a thing that's pretty common in jazz, that two guitar players would play together like that. But we play pop music, songs like Billie Jean, Rosanna, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. We play those, but in a jazz type of aesthetic, where one of us will be comping, playing rhythm, the other one will be playing a melody, then we change it around, then we have sections where we solo, and then we do that in turns, then we have sections that are completely open, where we just jam and improvise off of each other. Yeah, there's a mixture of very specific written parts and very open-ended sections. And it's always a joy, but always a risk as well.
Okay, nice. So it's a lot about improvising, actually, right?
Yes.
So how important is improvising for you? Like, is it the main thing you're working on, or?
I guess currently the main thing I'm working on is writing new music and trying to release more original music. But I'm also an improviser at heart. I love to improvise. It's usually the first thing that I do when I grab a guitar is improvise something. So that's something that's a constant in my mind, because for me, the better I improvise, the better I compose.
So actually, your background is actually jazz music, right? You studied jazz and then you made the transition to more fusion kind of legato style playing, or what's actually your main background influence?
I'm a rock guitar player.
Oh, okay.
So I started out as a rock guitar player. I consider myself a rock guitar player now. I'm a rock guitar player with a jazz influence. There are many jazz guitar players with a rock influence, but for me, rock music is the core of what I do, and the jazz comes in. And I do have a formal education in jazz as well. Yes, I went to college for jazz.
Okay, perfect. So when you're composing together with Tom Quay, do you jam primarily, or do you have like fixed arrangements? One of you does a song, does an arrangement, and then you get together maybe via a Zoom call or something like that.
Yeah,
Then
that
you
has
arrange
happened
together,
before.
or how you do it.
Yeah, that has happened before. What we did for the last set of arrangements we've done, like the freshest arrangements we have are Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic and Rosanna. And those we've done, like we were on a Zoom call and we said, oh, we're gonna play these songs. Okay, everybody goes back to their home base and tries out a little bit. And then I have a really cool, interesting way of playing the melody. Here it is. Okay, I came up with this substitute for the piano part. We keep sending stuff around. And then usually we would meet in real life and spend 2-3 days just putting it all together and then recording it.
And is the song choice kind of in conjunction with your other project, where you in the band doing all these covers with famous guitarists and other musicians?
Yeah, I think for me, like we do also play a jazz standard. We play How Insensitive by Antonio Carlos Jobim, and that's like a Brazilian bossa nova piece, bossa nova ballad. But over time, I strayed away more and more from the jazz material and more to the pop and rock material, but with a jazz decoration on it. It's just because it tends to reel people in more easily who are not familiar with jazz so much.
That's true.
Because they have the song that they know to latch onto, but then we have all those bells and whistles on it that we can then get away with, because we have the strong basis of a pop song that everybody knows.
Nice, cool. Maybe let's talk a little bit about your playing style. I think it's very fascinating. It's very fluid. It's a very specific, great fusion sound. And how do you develop your style and why? I think because guitarists, they kind of always have this question, okay, am I more like a guy who picks or am I more a guy who tends to use more legato? Like, how would you describe your style? And
Well, I used to be a very religious picker, but I've kind of eased up on that, and I've started using more hammer-ons and pull-offs. I'm definitely not a strict picker, and I'm not a strict legato player. I'm somewhere in the middle. I would say I'm like a 75% picker and 25% legato. So the way I do it is there's a thing in jazz called offbeat accentuation, and it's where you try to have an emphasis not on the downbeats but on the upbeats. So if you have eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you don't go da 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 da, but you go da 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 da. So, and I try to highlight the upbeats by picking the upbeats and hammering, pulling or sliding the downbeats. And that kind of de-emphasizes the downbeat and accentuates the upbeat. So that gives it a bit of a lilting, bouncy type feel. So that's something I go for. It's something I lifted from Pat Metheny, but I can also do it with strict picking, where I alternate pick religiously, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and I accent the upbeats. That's a Mike Stern type of thing. So that's something I've definitely worked on very consciously.
But how actually, I think this is kind of interesting for me, how does hybrid picking comes in play? Because you're actually one of the guys that I got first in touch with hybrid kicking. I think like 10 years ago, you kind of published like a
9 years ago,
9 years, like a fusion a masterclass that I
yeah, it's true.
And it was the first time where I actually stole a lot of stuff from you, and it made made it so much more easier for me to play legato faster because of this. Just using my middle finger, and how you develop that? I always think, does it come from country music, or why fusion players tend to use this technique to smooth things out?
Well, for me, it comes from, I don't know, it comes from the necessity of wanting to play chordal ideas and single note lines. And especially in college, I would try to play with my fingers, but that would mean, because I don't have that like classical or flamenco technique developed to that point, it means I sacrifice all my single note playing when I throw away the picks. So I started developing like that hybrid technique to facilitate playing chord melodies and polyphonic stuff, and also rhythm guitar. Like I would play like banjo rolls on it or Travis picking, and then I would try bossa nova comping, and I would try to play tunes like Blackbird using hybrid picking and stuff like that, because then I still have my little superpower, which is the pick, that I can throw in those lines. So that's what started it. And then I realized I could also really facilitate quick string jumps. Like if I have a single note on a higher string that I'm currently on, I don't actually have to work so hard. I can just pick that note out of thin air using my middle finger. And for me, it's a substitute of an upstroke.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And so there's always a downstroke followed by the middle finger when I do it in a single note line, because like the natural motion of that is akin to an upstroke. So I don't think I ever do it after an upstroke. I always do it after a downstroke.
Oh, okay.
Because it sets myself up for another downstroke.
Yeah. Okay, it makes things more smooth and fluid.
Yes, because it's an alternating motion instead of a repetitive motion that way.
Another question that I have is, of course, every player has their influences, and then you develop your own style. Like, what would you say are your main influences and the players that influenced you the most?
I'd say in the rock world, it's definitely John Petrucci, Steve Morse, Steve Lukather, Eric Johnson, Joe Bonamassa. I love a lot of modern day blues players like Josh Smith, Philip Sayce, Eric Gales, Kirk Fletcher. That school of player. And then on the jazz side, it would be like the big three of the late 80s would be John Scofield, Pat Metheny, and Mike Stern. Those are some huge influences for me. And I guess I meet them somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
George Benson was a huge influence for me for a very long time. It's just too many. Paul Gilbert is playing right now. He's a huge influence on me. Yeah.
Yeah, nice to hear that, because I think especially because you said you are more on the rock side as a player, or you would say that you're more like kind of a rock player. But I think a lot of upcoming players who just started out or maybe play for a few years, they are not really interested in jazz or blues, because you mentioned a lot of modern blues players and jazz players. And I think sometimes they tend to forget how important that side is, or maybe not important, but how such a great influence it can be on your playing. So for upcoming players, what would you say they should work on? What are the basics that kind of maybe gave you the most, that gave you the most in your playing, and would help them if they practice that or listen to that?
Oh, well, you mentioned basics there. I don't like to use the term basics because it makes it sound like it's easy, but I would work on my fundamentals always, no matter what level you are. So when I practice 90%, maybe 80% fundamentals, 20% other stuff. Fundamentals being playing in time, playing in tune, playing the right notes, with good tone. You will never be accused of having too good time feel. So no matter what level of player you are, you should always work on your time feel, for sure. Whether you're just learning to clap along to a metronome or to subdivide eighth notes, or whether you're starting to develop like polyrhythmic ideas or odd note groupings or whatever, it's something you should always be concerned with, in my opinion. Definitely work on your sound all the time, and I don't mean necessarily the gear. I mean, how do you pick a note? How do you sustain a note? How do you connect two notes together? Those are the fundamentals. Like, know your theory to a decent degree so that you can communicate with other players. Develop your ear so well that you can pick up ideas very easily. Develop your reading to a degree that you can work with other people in real life scenarios. So those are the things I would always be working on. Yeah.
What do you think is more important for upcoming players? Like, for example, working on theory, like modes, all the different modes that I talked about.
The modes are not important.
Or melodic minor, or actual vocabulary?
That's a good question. I think the modes are completely overstated in their importance in the guitar world. I don't think they're that important. The modes are great if you want to know, okay, I have a 2 chord. That means the notes of the Dorian mode will work over that. But other than that, you shouldn't be too concerned with it. What you should become good at is to understand intervallic relationships, much more so than modes. And you should understand how they map out on the fretboard. Because then I can tell, like, for example, if you know what intervals are and you know how they lay out across all of the neck, then I can go to my student who has never heard of a Lydian flat 7 scale. Okay, Lydian flat 7, that's 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, flat 7. Play it. And you can do it right away. You don't even need to memorize a pattern. You just know where the intervals are on the neck. And you don't need to memorize a bunch of scales to do that.
Cool. Thanks for the insight. Do you have any upcoming projects or something really exciting you want to talk about?
Well, I'm always working on my YouTube channel. Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the time. I'm working on a massive guitar course that I'm going to release sometime later this year, hopefully. It's like my biggest project in terms of music tuition that I've ever done. It's enormous. And I also have a new album that is almost ready to go, but I don't have a strategy to release it yet. I have the music, but I'm working on the strategy.
Coming to your record, you actually also sing, which I think is quite cool.
Yeah.
How it came to that? How you decided that you say, okay, I want to sing as well, because
I just wanted to write songs with vocals in it. I think I was a bit trapped in instrumental music. I wanted to do something different. I realized that most of the music that I enjoyed growing up and that inspired me was music that contained the human voice. And I thought the most natural thing would be to, if I write my own songs, to also sing my own songs. Even if I may not be the best singer in the world, but those are my songs and I want to be singing them, right? So it's a very personal thing. And for me, it also came at a time where I was a little bit frustrated with the way my career went. I felt like there was something missing, so I decided maybe it's time to pick up another instrument. I was deciding between taking piano very seriously or learning how to sing. So I took a bunch of vocal lessons and decided I'm really passionate about this. I'm going to make this part of my musicianship.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
there's going to be vocals of yours on your next record.
Yes. No. Is there an instrumental on it? I don't think. Nope. It's all vocals. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
guys. So stay tuned.
Yes.
And thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
And
Thanks for having me.
jump here. Thank you.
Pleasure, man. Good to see you.